Hello, my beautiful friends, Pisces. How are you, Pisces? Let's see what we got for our friends, Pisces. The third week of November. All right. So it's going to be a general reading. Therefore, we're not going to talk about anything personal, such as health, such as, family, children. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about sometimes we touch on health issues, but how could 700 million people having the same health issues think about it? But, it's more about messages, red flags, green flags. So you should not think of it as, let's see if Marco matches my situation. There is no way. There's nothing to match. What do I go by if there's no one in front of me? All I do in this case, I think of the sign and I send messages out there. So what you need to do, instead of then trying and matching it, just say, God, universe, angel, whatever you want, by yourself. If there is any messages for me, please let me have it. And thank you. So I send the messages for those of you who need them. When it's a personal reading, totally different story. We connect. I send you a little flame in your palm of your hands. Usually it takes a minute to connect. And then, look, I did the session this morning. She, a beautiful Australian lady, she barely said a word. I started and I says, okay, so you're a Leo. She says, how did you know? Well, come on, says, what do you mean, how do I know? This is what I do. And I said, okay, you want to know about relationship, you're not happy. I know you're divorced. She says, how did you know that? I know you have at least a couple of kids. She says, yes, I have 2 kids. And I says, one is having issues, and one is doing very well. She said, yeah, one is an Aries, he's doing very well. The other one is a Virgo, he's having all kinds of problems. Anyways, then the work, I says, you're working, but you're not really satisfied. She says, yeah, I've been at the same job for 32 years. 32 years. She says, I just do it because of the money, and money's good. But she says, I have no passion. Anyways, what I'm trying to say, when we do a personal reading, and the thing is, I did 1 hour, pretty much I just spoke. At the end of the reading, I says, do you have any questions? She says, oh my gosh. She says, you answer everything without even me asking you any questions. So no, Marco, I don't need to know anything else. I know everything. I know what I need to do. So it's a totally different type of reading. But when it comes to general reading, who am I going to read for? If you take the planet's population, 8 billion or so, and you divide it by 12 signs, on average or approximately, you have about 750 million people of each of the 12 signs. So how can you possibly guess? So we don't try and guess. All we do is we send messages, and if you are looking for anything, just pull it towards you. Say, please, if there is a message for me, let me have it. That's it. Okay? All right. Present, past, future, 3 months. Very interesting card, very important, because this card is going to dictate the overall theme of the reading. You ready, Pisces? Brand new beginning, ideological way of interpreting things. You are going to change completely your mindset. This is it could be a downgrading, but I hope not. It's either a downgrading or an upgrading of your mindset. I think it's an upgrading. Let me see the second card. The 9 of Cups. Yep. You're changing your mindset. So you're no longer chasing anyone. You're simply sitting pretty, knowing yourself, loving yourself, knowing your value. And you say, you know what? I'm not going to chase anyone. What am I chasing for? whomever is destined to be my person, come my way. I'm not going to chase anyone. In other words, you're maturing in your way of thinking. So this is really good. I like this. So your idea is, if it's mine, is mine. I'm not going to chase anyone. I'm going to look after myself. It could be tomorrow, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years from now, when my person is ready to join me. We will meet no matter what. Okay? Last 3 months. The Two of Pentacles, so decisions, the world, so something ended completely. There you go. So you had a huge disappointment. And I remember about a month and a half ago, one of your readings was terrible. And it was like you were counting on something or someone, you were planning to get married, and then they simply walked away. And you were very, very, very disappointed, and you lost money and you lost a lot of effort. It really caught you by surprise. And so you left with, having spent a lot of money, you made a lot of financial decisions. Maybe you committed to a loan or something, and then everything went the sideways. And as you can see, the World card is basically that. The World card tells you that that is completely finished, is the end of a story. So this is why you're changing your mindset, because you're asking yourself, what is the point on making assumptions and preparing this and that? Then all of a sudden, something happens and you're left with nothing. So you see, that comes from need, that comes from hoping, that comes from not being in control of the situation. But what you're doing with the Nine of Cups is the opposite. I'm going to look after myself. I'm going to do what I need to do. And when the right person is ready for me, I will meet them regardless. So that's your new way of thinking. Now, the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is you finally achieving victory, finally being in control, finally being recognized, achieving recognition. You feeling that people are understanding you, the people around you. In other words, I think you had an attitude before of Mr. Nice Guy or Mr. Nice Girl, Mrs. Nice Girl. I got to make everybody happy and I got to sacrifice myself for them. No more. No more. Now it's you first and then you worry about them if necessary. All right. So you're taking care of business. You're paying your debts. You're collecting money. Perhaps some of you have some court issues. So you're taking care of business. And you're not doing anything right now as far as anything else is concerned. You're not chasing anyone. You're not. Nope. As a matter of fact, some of you are still dealing with the remnants of that which ended a few months ago. The Knight of Swords. So expect some positive news which will change your way of thinking. This is information, okay? The news is about information you needed to clarify certain things. You've been betrayed. You don't want to do that anymore. You don't want to fall into that trap anymore. Look at this. Look at this. What did I just tell you? You're being betrayed. You see that, right? So you're not going to do that anymore. This is what you want. Soulmate. So, and this is really where the reading is heading. It's simple. You know that this type of soulmate is contractual, meaning they ain't going anywhere. You have a contract. It all depends what date of maturity you guys signed on the contract. Did you sign 2025? Did you say we're going to meet 2025, 2030, 2028, 2050? I don't know. Regardless, you guys have a contract. So there is no need to chase anything because when the contract comes due, you guys are going to be together. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. So realizing that, you just stop chasing. See what you're going to be doing during Christmas. The Nine of Pentacles. In the meantime, you're going to work and put money aside, remodel your home, look after your garden, your furniture, your car, your office, whatever. In the meantime, you're taking care of yourself, preparing for the long-term relationship. Now, right this very moment, not all of you, but right this very moment, some of you are suffering. You're suffering because perhaps you're being taken through the cleaners by something that happened here. I mean, you were betrayed. There is no question about that. And sometimes betrayals can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Sometimes you have to sell the house. Sometimes you gotta work for 5 years to repay the debts. So whilst you are paying the price and suffering on the one hand, on the other hand, you just say, you know what? It is life. I learned a big lesson. I know what I'm getting. But for now, of course, I have to deal with, I tried to rush it a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, rushing it, thinking that if I rush it, I get to my target faster. But no, it doesn't work that way. What date did you sign on the contract? That's what you got to ask yourself. You might ask, Marco, there's no way to know that. Actually, there is. Ask just before you fall asleep. The last 5 seconds before you fall asleep. And fall asleep with that thought in your mind. And you will see that you're going to wake up with the answer in the morning. All right, I'm going to pull 3 final cards to see if there's any final messages or obstacles you need to know. But in the meantime, if you care to know, signs you might be dealing with, we have Aquarius, we have Cancer, we have Virgo, Pisces, Libra, Gemini. That's about it. All right, let's see if there's a final message. Then we're going to get some more messages, okay? The Knight of Pentacles. So in the meantime, you're dealing with money, finances, paying debts, collecting debts. The Hierophant. The Hierophant, you are approaching this whole situation with a different mindset. You see he's got a spark like a star on his head that represents illumination, eureka moment. The Ten of Swords, finished. What card do you get after the Ten of Swords? After the Ten of Swords, you get the Ace of Swords. And here we go. Ten of Swords, end of an era. Ace of Swords, brand new me. There you have it. Love message, if any. Give your relationship a chance. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, you do know that you got a soulmate coming up. Reconciliation. Don't tell me that some of you might have ended a relationship with a soulmate and now you have no choice, you have to come back. Well, I mean, you're not going to get 700 million people doing the same thing at the same time. Some of you might have to come back, yes, because they are your soulmate, whether you like it or not. You cannot do otherwise when you have a contract. I mean, in all honesty, you can change the contract, but it's going to take quite a bit of effort. I left you when I saw you with someone. So you know what? I almost feel that you broke up with your soulmate. And you see, because the feelings are so strong with soulmates, you don't ask were you guys talking about? Perhaps they were talking about work. Perhaps your person was looking for a job and then were getting interviewed. But you assumed that they were cheating on you, and so you walked away. Or this could be the other way around. But now there is an apology coming, see? Either from you to them, from them to you. So either way, I have a feeling some of you are dealing with a soulmate already. So they're already in your life, but because of the other soulmate, it's very difficult to make it work smooth. Now think of your question. The answer is yes. All right, that's your reading. That's a reading. Have you guys subscribed to the channel? Please do, so we can offer more and more, and please like the videos. And if you need anything personal, the address is at the bottom left, okay? Thank you so much, Pisces. See you soon.